Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Brent. I'm the Vice President of Finance and Operations here at William James College. And I'm here with Hillary Baxter, our Director of Financial Aid, who will take you through the presentation today. We'd like to make this as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate, ask questions. You don't want to sit here and listen to us talk for the next half hour. It'll be a lot more fun if we hear from you. We'll start with a polling question today. See if I can get that launched. What is your primary area of interest? We have school psychology, clinical mental health counseling, organizational leadership psychology, and the bachelor's completion degree. Give you a minute to answer that question. Okay, I'm gonna close that. I don't think I've ever seen this before, Hillary.
Oh, wow.
100% clinical psychology.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, take it over.
Okay. So as Dan said, my name's Hillary Baxter. I'm the Director of Financial Aid. And the number one question that we get in this department is, how can I pay for school? So here are some of the different types of aid listed, such as scholarships, employer reimbursement, if that's an option for you. There's federal work study and both federal and private loans. So each department awards the merit-based scholarships, and there's no separate application for most of them. You'll automatically be considered for these funds through the admissions process, and if you're awarded any type of scholarship funding, you'll be notified on your acceptance letter. It'll also be on your financial aid award letter if we have your FAFSA. The other scholarships listed here do have some specific requirements, so please be sure to look at our website for more information on these ones, or you can reach out directly to admissions. So this slide here has some sites that you can go on to look for outside scholarships that might be available. Obviously, 100% of you are interested in the clinical PsyD program, so unfortunately they're kind of limited at the graduate level, but whenever I'm notified of any possible outside scholarship funds, I'll be sure to let the students know. And I think that you attached the PowerPoint, so you guys will have access to these slides and all the sites that are referenced, right, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. So now on to applying for federal financial aid. So if you've never submitted the FAFSA before, which is the free application for federal student aid, you'll first need to create an FSA user ID and password, which you can do by going on to studentaid.gov. Once that's set up, you can submit your FAFSA, and you can either search for our school by using the dropdown, or you can use the federal school code, which is towards the bottom of the slide. We will then get your results automatically within probably 3 to 5 business days, and we'll follow up with you then, either if we need additional information or we'll send you an award letter. I do want to mention too, this last bullet here is that we encourage you to use the IRS data retrieval tool, which will automatically pull in your tax information, so it'll just simplify the process. Any questions so far?
We just had one question about the slides, and they are attached in the handout section that you can download here.
Okay. So I had mentioned federal work study before, and if that's something that you might be interested in, there's a place on the FAFSA that just asks if you're interested. As long as you put yes and you have a financial need, we would include a $5,000 work study allowance that you can earn up to for the year. Students are working in many departments throughout the school, and the positions are posted on CareerLink as they become available. You'd be given access to the CareerLink site once you start classes here. So work study funding is money that basically gets paid directly to you. It does not get credited to your student bill. Most students work about 8 to 10 hours a week, but that can fluctuate depending on the department's needs. And most positions pay $16 an hour. I should also mention there are teaching assistant positions. Those are not paid through work study though, so those would be arranged through the academic departments. So submitting the FAFSA is the first step to applying for federal loans and grants, and this next slide shows some of the federal funds that you'd be considered for depending on your program. So obviously the top part doesn't apply to this audience, but you'd be considered for federal work study, the direct Stafford loan, and Grad Plus loans. The Stafford loan requirements are listed here. Just to mention a few, you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, and you have to be at least half-time in a degree-seeking program and making satisfactory academic progress. The interest rates and loan fees for this loan tend to change yearly. The current ones can be found on studentaid.gov, and the annual and lifetime limits for the loans are listed at the bottom of this slide. So if you're accepted by admissions and we have your FAFSA, we'll follow up within 7 to 10 days or so. The letter that you'll receive will include any loans, scholarships, and work study that you've been awarded. It'll also include an estimated budget and options to cover remaining expenses through additional loans, which would either be the Grad Plus loan or private loans. And then if you want to accept the loan, all you have to do is sign and return the letter and complete the 2 steps listed here. So the other loan that I had mentioned was the federal Grad Plus loan. You have to be a credit-worthy applicant, and if you have any concerns about your credit, you might want to check your credit report now just to avoid any issues once classes begin. The Plus loan has both a higher interest rate and origination fee, but if you're approved for it, you'd be able to request up to your overall cost of attendance minus any other aid you're receiving from this loan. So the cost of attendance includes both direct and indirect costs. Direct costs are things that you'll actually be charged for, such as the tuition and fees, the health insurance plan, and the health insurance plan, which you can waive if you already have coverage. And then indirect costs are things like books, living expenses, transportation, etc. Pretty much any other cost that you might need to cover while you're in school through loans. This next slide here shows an estimated cost for a current master's student taking 15 credits a semester. If your credits are different, the tuition would change, but everything else would pretty much be the same. Again, you might not need to cover all of these expenses depending on your situation. Like if you don't need living expenses, you would obviously just borrow just what you need to cover your bill. So from what you can see here, all of your aid can only go up to that cost of attendance. This includes the budget items mentioned on the previous slide. So the things at the bottom are considered self-help aid and would be factored into your cost first. You can then get the Stafford loan, and then the maximum amount that you can get through the Plus loan would be the difference between those items. We also ask that you don't request a Grad Plus loan until you're registered and billed so that you don't overborrow. Private loans are also another option, but we do recommend that you look into the federal loans first, just because of the current repayment options that are available. Dan's going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But if you do want to look into the private loan option, this website here, Elm Select, is where you'd find a bunch of the options listed. Any questions, Dan?
Yeah, we just had one come in. I plan on borrowing for not only tuition and fees, but for living expenses as well. How do I get money for my living expenses?
Okay, that's a good one. So basically, each semester we do one final enrollment check after the add drop period, and then as long as there haven't been any changes, your aid would be processed and posted to your account, and any amount that exceeds the amount that you owe would be refunded back to you, and that would be the money that you'd have for your living expenses each semester.
Very good.
And that's it.
Is insurance required? I already have coverage through my job.
So that one, as long as you can show proof of your coverage, then you can waive it. I don't know if there's any like stipulations on what state you live in. Do you know any of that?
So yeah, no, it shouldn't matter as long as you have adequate coverage that's equivalent to what the health insurance plan that's offered here. I know that if you are at least 3/4 time, you're required to waive the insurance, but that shouldn't be a problem. I don't
Okay.
believe. It's a good option to have, but a lot of people do waive. Any other questions for now? Okay, we're gonna go on to a polling question. All right, when do you plan on starting graduate school? Spring 2022, fall 2022, or undecided? And I guess if you're, since this is a clinical PsyD crowd, the spring 22 would actually not be an option. So
Right.
not just surprised to see that 88% said fall 2022 and 11% undecided, or 13% actually. That doesn't even add up. How about that? You have to go call GoToWebinar and find out how they do their math. Sorry, I'm a finance person. All right, so we are going to move into the loan repayment section of the presentation. So after you graduate from college, you have a 6-month grace period, and then the government requires you to pay back your loans. We are very proud to present this slide. We have a 1.1% default rate. That's our most recent rate that we received just last month, our fiscal 2018. The government measures this over a 3-year period to see who is defaulted, and the national average is 7.3%, and our average is 1.1%. That tends to be the student who does not graduate. Our graduation rate is around 90%. We're proud to say. Okay, so there are many different types of repayment options once you finish graduation. One of them is direct loan consolidation, where you can combine your graduate and undergraduate student debt and lock in one interest rate. If you do that, you will not be eligible for income-based repayment, which most of our students take. I'll talk about that in a minute. We always encourage you to know who your servicer is, and you can get the information from the NSLDS system. So standard repayment is 10 years. Most students who graduate from a graduate program like the clinical PsyD program do not choose that option and extend that over 25 years. And that's what the income-based repayment plan does for you. You can pay 10% of your discretionary income for up to 25 years. After 25 years of qualifying payments, you will be forgiven on anything that's remaining. And we encourage you to go to studentloans.gov to look at more information on these plans. So one great program that the government offers right now is called Public Service Loan Forgiveness. If you work for a nonprofit, a government agency for a period of 10 years, at least 30 hours a week, so really full-time work, and you make 120 monthly payments, then you are eligible for public service loan forgiveness. You can combine this with income-based repayment, so that way you'll have to make payments for 10 years, and then you'll be forgiven on whatever is left after 10 instead of 25 years. So William James College is a nonprofit. We have some of our faculty, some of our staff take advantage of this great program. Many of our students graduate and work in public schools or prisons, nonprofit hospitals, human service providers. A lot of students go into nonprofit work and take advantage of this program. There's a couple of different income-based repayment plans here. Again, we encourage you to look at studentaid.gov to look at the different plans. They are talking about consolidating this because it is a little confusing right now, consolidating into one income-based repayment program. So more on that to come soon. That's the federal government I'm talking about here. There's a couple of specialized programs that we like to advertise. One is with the state of Massachusetts, and one is a federal program from the National Health Services Corps. We encourage you to check out these websites for more information on these programs. Again, the slides are in the handout section. And then going back to the first slide that I presented here about our low cohort default rate, we're very proud to say that 89% of our students pass the doctoral licensing exam on the first try. 94% of our alumni are securing a job in the field within 6 months of graduation. As I mentioned earlier, our graduation percentage is about 90%. So our students are finishing school here, they're graduating, they're getting a job, they're passing the exam, and they're able to pay off their debt. So that's good news for us. So yeah, we're pretty much coming up to the end of our presentation. We'd like you to ask any final questions now. And again, these are our two websites we've been promoting today, finaid.org and studentaid.gov. Kind of a quiet crowd today.
I know, very. There is another slide if you want to put it up, the one with our contact information. So again, this is a lot of information to take in right now, but if you want to look it over again and reach out with any questions you have, we're available.
Yeah, we understand that this is sort of a generic presentation, but everyone has specific questions and needs, and we encourage students to reach out directly to either admissions or financial aid questions. Okay, here we go. We got some coming on here. Are there any scholarships available for international students? And the next question, actually, we can probably take them both at once. How often are scholarships awarded? So most of our scholarships are awarded at the time of admissions. Our faculty, department chairs make scholarship offers at the time of admissions based on the merit of students. International students are not excluded for those. We do have some money from HRSA scholarships. Those are made after the admissions offer. So students must have not only be offered admission, but also accept the admissions offer in order to apply for those. International students are excluded for those because it's a federal program, but those are awarded after you are admitted here. And we also have the Serving the Needs of Underserved Scholarship, which you can apply to. That happens before the admissions offer, and those are also available for international students. Someone just wrote no sound. You hear me, Hillary?
Yeah.
I can hear you too. Okay, works now. Okay, good.
I wonder if your answer was heard.
I hope so. Should I repeat?
Yeah, I'd give it a quick.
So most of our scholarships are awarded at the time of admissions offer through the faculty. Those are merit scholarships. We also have the Serving the Needs of Underserved scholarships. That's 2/3 off tuition that you have to apply for, and that also happens at the time of admissions. And then international students are eligible for both of those. And we also have some HRSA scholarships available that you cannot apply for until after you're admitted and accepted the admissions offer, and then you can apply for those. And since it's a federal program, you are not, international students are not eligible. And those are, it used to be 32,500 per year for those students. I think it's just under that, maybe 31,500. I think we were cut short a little bit in the funding there, but those are some great programs that are available for our students. Okay, how many students have a job while in grad school? Is it possible to have a full-time job at the same time or just part-time? So if we're talking about the Clinical PsyD program, that is a full-time program, and you can actually, we don't allow part-time students there. That's part of American Psychological Association rules. So students can have a part-time job, but I don't know of any students that have full-time jobs. I know it's discouraged. And with your field placement a couple days a week and on campus for classes a couple days a week, there's just not enough time. If you're looking for a program where you can work full-time, we'd encourage you to look at the Masters in Organizational Psychology program or our Masters in Counseling program, which you can do part-time over 3 years. Yeah, I'll give it one more minute and see if we have any last questions. Looks like our campus today with that sunny sky, right, Hillary?
Oh, yeah.
Our PhD programs offered. No, we only have the Clinical PsyD program. We do not have any PhD programs here. Here's one for you, Hillary. Do federal loans generally cover living expenses?
They can. So the Stafford loan for your population of applying could get up to $33,000 per year, assuming you haven't reached your aggregate limits through undergrad. And then anything you need on top of that would be through a Grad Plus loan. That would be up to the overall cost of attendance, and that does include a living expense allowance each year. I think this year, go ahead.
Are there any on-campus job positions / paid TA positions at William James College?
Yes, so we have the Federal Work Study program, which is just mostly administrative positions throughout the different departments, research positions. I'm trying to think of others, but those typically pay $16 an hour. And then aside from that, there are teaching assistantships that Dan, I forget what the stipends are for that, but you get paid twice each semester, right?
$100 to $17.50 per class per semester.
Okay.
We also have been very fortunate enough to receive some HRSA grants that are covering advanced practicum stipends for our 3rd and 4th year students, and those pay $25,000. It's limited to about 20 students per year, but something to look into when you get to that point. And we also have our halftime consortium, which is years 4 and 5, and those also receive stipends. So I think overall, our student employment numbers were about 1.75 million last year. So hopefully those programs with HRSA continue. Here's another one. How do I know if I met the undergraduate limit for federal loans? And if I have, is my only option a private loan?
So there, as of right now, well, first of all, if you want to check with me once you submit your FAFSA, I can let you know if you've reached the lifetime limit. For the Clinical PsyD program, I've seen it maybe 4 times over like 10 years. The aggregate limit is $224,000. So chances are you have not. But if that's the case, you can, even if you don't qualify for a Stafford loan, there's currently no lifetime limit on the Grad Plus loan. So you could look into that even before a private loan.
Can you be a teaching assistant and a research assistant in one semester? The answer is yes. Research assistant would fall under federal work study. So you'd be capped to some extent to how much you can earn. TAs does not fall under federal work study or financial aid, and that stipend is paid directly through payroll. TAs are usually selected by faculty members. What are usual qualifications for scholarships? So our general merit scholarships are given out by the faculty based on your application and your interview and your essay. For the specialized scholarships, the Serving the Needs of the Underserved scholarship is for students specializing or wanting to work in underserved populations. For the HRSA scholarships, they follow a very strict criteria. You have to be either environmentally or economically disadvantaged, and those are qualifications set forth by the federal government. Lots of rules involved there. So each scholarship kind of has a little different criteria. We encourage you to check out our website for more information on those.
Or admissions. Admissions has all that information.
But the general merit scholarships you do not have to apply for. Everyone will be considered for one based on your application and your interview. Okay, any other questions? Oh, you got one? How many students on average receive a merit-based scholarship, and how much money will the school offer? So for the PsyD program, most of the merit scholarships are $20,000 over 4 years, so $5,000 a year for the first 4 years. The 5th year is just 1 credit per semester. And overall, about 30% of our students receive a scholarship. I don't know if once we narrow it down to just merit, but I know about 30% of our entire student body receive a scholarship. If we narrow it down to merit, it would be less than 30%.
Well, we got some good questions anyway.
I mean, there's been a lot of late questions have been awesome. Very intelligent questions. Can you have both a merit-based scholar plus the additional scholarship that you apply to? So no, we actually give you we give you the benefit of the doubt, and if you get a merit-based scholarship and then you end up getting like a higher one, then the higher amount will supersede the lower amount. So if sometimes people come in and get the merit-based and then apply for the HRSA scholarship, but obviously students would rather have $32,500 than $5,000. All right, I think that's it for questions. We'd like to thank you for joining us this afternoon, and please reach out to us if you have any more questions, and enjoy the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.